The Beef and Barnzy Show, brought to you by BowlersMart.com, trusted by bowlers around the world since 2004. By Lightning Strikes Bowl, home of Bowlers Mart Pro Shop. By Platinum Ford, drive the difference. By Fire Lake Bowling Center, 24 state-of-the-art lanes. By True Grit Coatings, drive on our passion. By Road to Grip, king of them all. By 900 Global, striking worldwide.
Good morning and welcome back to the Beef and Barnzy Show. Back from his well-deserved vacation. Got to see family.
Yeah,
it was inimitable. Stuart Williams. How are you this morning?
My dad has a pretty good internet connection as well. I was just lazy.
You ruined half of my excuses for you.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, it was just to be honest. The one on the 26th was the one that was the funniest because I was like, I saw the post on our feed that said we're not having a show today, and I was like, oh fuck yeah, it's a Thursday because you lose track of days.
Yeah.
At the best of times, I don't know what day of the week it is because it really doesn't matter to me. Fortunately.
Well, when you're vacation with family like that, it really is like even more Vegas than Vegas. So
yeah. Live.
It is live
from all over. Just one
And he's out. All right. Well, it was a good run. It was nice having Stu back. And
look, think Frankie, cool, calm, and collected. So yes, yeah. So we got new balls to talk about, Chris. Everybody likes talking about balls.
Everybody. Wow.
I can tell how many people watch this show when they're at work because I guess that there's quite a few people who aren't working today, and the numbers are tragic.
It's a little slower start this morning than usual.
Oh God. Okay, Adam. You were about to say, "Go fuck yourself."
For those of you that missed it, need one that says calm, cool, calm, and chubby.
And I'm neither calm or yes, I'm past chubby now. What's going on, Kenny? How we doing?
Hey, Siri.
You doing well?
Or Stu.
Well, I'm like Siri, except just like Siri. I think I know everything.
Yeah. I thought
actually I know nothing.
Two guys that know everything that don't agree very much.
Mario says, I'm actually watching because I'm not at work. All right, well, yeah. Morning, Chris. Hey, I'll get back to your email. I'm sorry I didn't get a chance. I got home the middle of the afternoon yesterday, and it was, there wasn't a lot of sleeping going on that flight. We took the KLM flight. So we went from Manchester, which is close to where my parents live. We went to Amsterdam, then Amsterdam straight to Austin. So that was awesome. But with Brady, that was that 10-hour flight was a challenge, shall we say.
Yeah, he wasn't into sleeping at the time.
No, he fell asleep in a very odd position, though. Like he was underneath the chairs in front of us on his knees, but with his head down on the floor. It was very strange. That's where he finally went to sleep for like half an hour. I haven't used it enough, but I fucking sure hope not.
Well, the new pretty much is really good as long as you're bowling by yourself or left-handed, where there's not a lot of carry down, because then it's urethane-ish with a lot more back end. So far, I'm not really seeing that out of this. One, it absorbs oil, a considerable amount, which I guess the new does as well. I guess is how they get around it. But
well, the new, I think still counts as urethane. I think. So I don't know. It's all confusing. Like to me, the whole thing gets very confusing. I haven't really, I've been out of the loop a little bit, and maybe Chris has been more on it because he's still been working while I've been partying. But
no.
Only half listened to the to some extent, all black balls look the same.
Yeah, that's the closest part is the color.
So have we like got an absolute like how can we put this, like, description of what Storm are expecting this thing to do? Because I feel like it's been a little bit of a mixed message as to whether it's like what we're going to use to replace urethane, what we're going to use in between. Is that just my ignorance to it, or does it just seem a little bit like that?
I don't. I don't know that they've gotten way out in front of themselves on it. It certainly hooks much more than what we've been using as urethane right now.
Yeah,
it is much smoother than our reactive balls.
It seems much cleaner for me than the pitch black. Now, am I right in that, or?
Yeah. Yesterday, and yesterday Ryan did something a little bit different. We've been trying to go at it different ways because you're trying to kind of replicate what's going on. And his video is probably going to go up today, but he bowled 3 straight games. First, he bowled a game or so, probably 15 shots. It takes him no time to do it, so I lost track. But with the level, and then during the video, he bowled 3 games: 1 with the level, 1 with pitch black, and IQ 78 mixed in with the level, so you kind of compare them together, and then another game with the level. And then I did a video that will probably, I don't know, will be up at some point later on this week that involved a couple of shots with it, and there was a sizable hole in the front of the lane.
Yeah,
that got developed, which tells me that it's not necessarily just snow plowing oil down the lane like urethane does. And this is my opinion.
Yeah.
But actually picking it up and blowing it up more like, well, I even referenced the EPX a little bit.
Yeah.
And it feels a little bit more like that than it does.
Yeah, I mean, from the I'm not a very good one because I plowed holes in it and I rushed down the bowling center to try and get some idea of what we were doing, because we didn't really know how we were going to get the videos together and everything else. So I wanted to get something on camera so we had something. And I picked kind of a longer pattern that we use it on. I picked the PBA World Championships pattern because that is a pattern that historically urethane's been used on a lot when it wasn't necessarily like make that much sense for it to be used.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, out of the box, I felt like it wasn't really strong enough for that. But I kind of wanted to see what it was going to do. Now, the IQ 78 for me definitely isn't strong enough for that. Like, it doesn't make enough motion. Like, because I mean, strong enough is tough because strong enough can be early and whatever, but it doesn't make enough shape for me. Pitch black, on the other hand, looked okay on that pattern for me. And I thought it looked better than the level for me on that. Subsequently, I went to England and I recorded a video and I was pumped and I got it done and everything. And I was like, oh, we're ahead of this. And then I went to edit it and realized that I totally fucked up the sound on it. So now I've just got more footage, but with no sound. So that didn't really make it that much easier for me to put a video together. So, but the long and the short of this was I chatted with you a little bit about what you'd seen out of it. And I decided to almost treat it a bit more like how I would treat a urethane ball. So I scuffed the shit out of it because I was very reluctant to do that the first time I was using it, because I had no idea what it was going to do. I didn't feel like we had a very good. I didn't feel like I had I felt like I had a sales pitch rather than a description of what it was actually 100% going to do, if you know what I mean, from head office when we got them, which is what we get. Like, I'm not complaining about that. I'm just saying that when it's a totally new product in a totally new spot, kind of makes it a little hard to be like really convinced you're going to do one thing or the other. So I put a lot more surface on it like I would with a urethane ball, and it looked much better in England, but there obviously wasn't as much oil. So I just got to see. Now, I saw that you did the review and you did it on 35 feet, which, like I say, 2 or 3 of the people who commented went, finally, someone's used a pattern where you'd actually use a urethane ball to do the review for it. I think that doing reviews for urethane balls is the hardest thing in the world. Because they pretty much always look the same, except one of them averages 20 pins a game more than the bad one, and it hooks about 1/3 of an inch more. Like, so, I mean,
it's like a tough one to watch.
Yeah, they all look the same, except, you know, one of them, like, I mean, if I take the pitch black and the red ball on the lane and we're bowling on a fresh lane, there really isn't that much difference. It's just once the oil gets down the lane more or this or that. And that's what, to me, is really hard about the urethane, because I don't know. Like, I don't know about you, but I'm no real clearer of whether this ball is going to be absolutely fantastic when we bowl on the PBA Tour or not.
Yeah, it's like a lot of things that have to do with the tour. You think your lineup's pretty well set until you get in that field and in that environment, and you go, oh, yeah, that didn't do what I thought it was going to do once the whole field got in there. So we have a little bit of that as well. And I have a feeling for tour. I mean, we're going to find out week 1. 37 mils on 35 feet. We're going to have a lot of data in a hurry. And
I mean, Brian bowled in a lot of tournaments this year, and he said urethane might look fine when you're using it by yourself, but it might look completely different when you're using it in competition when everybody else is using it. 100%.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's why Ryan and I have been trying to throw it together, you know, and trying to beat the lane up a little bit and see how much, you know, but at times, even in the videos, there'll be some shots you go, ooh, that's not a video shot. Because when you stress test it and you're creating carry down and hooking the front and doing all this stuff, you'll throw one every once in a while. You'll go ahead and move left and get it long. You know, you get it in a little bit long and it doesn't hook. And that's what urethane does.
Yeah.
And so you miss the head pin. You're like, ooh, you feel like you need to cut that shot out. But it is what happens all the time with purples, blacks, reds.
100%. I mean,
works, and that's when you get out of it. But
I'm quite fascinated. Like, I listen to Darren because Darren uses urethane much more successfully than I do. So I felt like it was kind of interesting. I mean, I watch a lot of YouTube stuff anyway. And I watched that, and Darren was stressing over and over again, and he's pretty tight with Alex. So I think that was probably Alex's thing, that it was a reactive ball. It wasn't a urethane ball. So, okay, cool. But he was sort of saying that it was a lot cleaner than his pitch black. Okay. And it would provide the bridge between the urethane and the stronger ball, you know, like the reactive ball that you would change to.
Yeah, Iron Max or something like that, if you're going to do that.
And I found that interesting because I couldn't really picture that working. So I mean, and like I say, Darren's way more successful with me than urethane, but I just couldn't picture. Like, to me, I never want to stay in the same place with the urethane. Like, you know what? When it's time to get out of urethane, I don't think I'd want something that was a little bit of a bridge.
Yeah, it will depend on whether, like, say, 35 feet, if they're able to stay close to it, it may just be a small ball up. And
Yeah.
that's the theory once upon a time.
And I mean, here's an
in
interesting
later
one.
times, it's been you go down to medium-ish, phase 2-ish type balls.
Ryan Ragland,
Yeah.
thanks for the super chat. He says, simple question, level versus ZenU. I love the ZenU with new in box on the rack.
I think this is less responsive
Yes.
than the ZenU.
It's like in between, like pitch black. It's like pitch black is the least responsive, then
Right.
ZenU, then this level, then ZenU.
Yeah. It is a little bit cleaner. It does have a little bit more response in the mid lane. But yeah, but the ZenU, and this is what we're hoping for. This is the same problem that I felt like the new had when I was watching it. I don't know because I didn't throw it, but when enough oil got down lane, then they stopped hooking.
Oh yeah, that ball,
hooking miles, talking none, and it's the reason why we don't throw them on tour, because the amount of carry down is too fast, and the transitions are humongous, and you just can't keep up.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like both the ZenU and the new, for me, look better on house shots than they looked on sport pans.
Yeah.
I mean, the new looked great on the house shot. It looked awful, like awful when they were trying to use it as a urethane ball.
Yeah.
So I mean, I actually saw more people have success with the new blue shiny than I did with it being dull. So that kind of gives you an idea about where it fits as a urethane ball. We've got 37 mils, but of course we're only oiling half the lane, so that makes total sense. So that's like twice as much oil as would be on a normal pan, because they're only oiling half the lane. Richie Allen and his Texas toast English muffin analogy comes in quite nicely here. I like, because we were talking about how whenever they go longer, they put less oil on.
Yeah.
And when they go short, they put way more oil on. And Don was explaining to him when the pattern's way flatter, you obviously have to put more oil on the lane, because when it's way flatter, you're putting less oil per board because you're oiling every board. Whereas on a house shot, you don't oil a third of the lane.
Mm-hmm.
Like literally, you don't oil a third of the lane, because there's just outside of 7 on both sides, there's no oil at all.
Yeah, so you're 16 boards basically you don't oil.
Yeah,
0 to 8 on both sides, you basically don't.
Yeah, almost not at all. So if you think about it, if a house shot has 25 mils of oil and a sport pattern has 30 mils of oil, the middle is going to feel like it's so much drier on the sport pattern, because they've oiled the other part of the lane as well, because it's got the same amount on every board. Mm-hmm. So Richie said, yeah, it's like Texas toast. I like a Texas toast, and I like peanut butter on my Texas toast. He goes, I like an English muffin as well, but I can't put the same amount of peanut butter on an English muffin as I put on a piece of Texas toast, because the Texas toast would be really dry and the English muffin would be overflowing. That to me is 37 mils on Cheetah.
Yeah. I mean, basically by game 3, it will be a 43-foot pattern.
That's what I'm saying. But if we did 43
between
feet,
5 and 10.
Yes. Yeah. Hey, I don't care. It's something different, but overall, the heaviest oiled patterns have always been Cheetah. Cheetah's always had the most oil on it, like the last 4 or 5 years. Even when we were 33, it was still the most. Like we bowled one year, I think the year that Wolf might have won in Reno, I think he beat Darren, and they were there was a gallon of oil on the lane. It wasn't you couldn't, if you missed left, you didn't hit the head pin, but to the right. You had to get it to the friction at the World Series when we were in Reno. I think it was 2017 maybe. Yeah. But there was just a shit ton more oil on Cheetah than there was on Shark.
Yeah.
You oil Shark 15 feet further down the lane.
It just tells you, and they're all clues about how a different individual feels about building patterns, and so they want to see a certain amount of hook apparently, and that's one way to go about it. But
if he does that, it will blind you and you won't be able to see a thing.
I don't think it's even plugged in anymore.
Yeah, don't worry about it. That's why it's not on.
Yeah, it is. It's brighter than the sun, and I never found a way to turn it down. It would be like a white light.
Yeah. So
towards it.
Let's quickly move on a little bit to Zen 25, which I drilled this one before Chris drilled it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I went out and I was bowling on the same pattern, which I didn't have that much time. So for me anyway, the Earl Anthony pattern with a shiny low RG pearl ball probably isn't the best option on the fresh, right? Just overall, that probably wouldn't be the spot for this ball for me anyway. And I threw it for about 15 minutes and I called Chris. I was like, oh, this one's an absolute banger. I was like, I can't even begin to explain for me how much better this ball is than the Phase AI. Like, there is zero chance I'll ever drill a Phase AI again in this gap because the Zen 25 is almost the same numbers. And it's just, for me, and I think probably for Chris, better in every single way. Like, every single way. It's cleaner, yet still hooks more. And doesn't quit. It's just better.
It hooks more in the part of the lane you want it to hook more.
And when I drilled the Road Warrior, I threw it. And after about 5 shots, I was like, we're back. Like,
yeah,
whichever balls I didn't like this year,
we're back, baby.
This is it. Like, knew immediately. And whatever I see with the Road Warrior, I see with the Zen 25 in that same way. Like, the way it picks up and, like, I can change my hand however I want. Yeah. Well, I think the thing with it is my eyes see it, and it's a combination of my eyes and my brain, like, trying to combine the two. I see that the Phase AI is a little too quick, and because it's quick, it gets very forward. That's how I see it. Like, for me, I think it stands up, and then people say, well, it's lazy down lane, so it's too slow. Yeah. But I don't see it that way. I think a lot of the times, especially if you get a low RG ball, if it's a little slow, you actually see more down lane motion because it doesn't use up its... Because a low RG ball can hook more if it can be continuous. Whereas if you get a low RG ball and you make it quick, it can quit a lot. Like, to me, the IQ Tour actually quits quite hard sometimes because it stands up so fast, you know, when it's dry enough that it ends up getting super forward. So I just see that the Zen 25, a lot of people are going to tell you that it's quicker than the Phase AI. And I personally think that's total bullshit. I think the reason why it's good is because it's not quicker. So then it hooks way more down the lane, and people associate quick with down lane motion.
Yeah.
And it's not.
It can be a funny balance of, because everywhere basically there's older surfaces or these new surfaces are all textured. If they are too responsive, they can actually be and strong. They can be responsive in the front.
Yes.
And it just, you don't see the hook because it's too early. So it just comes as bleed out basically. And your ball just has no energy. But aside from all the technical reasons, the Zen 25 is in the middle of my bag, middle lower end actually, because it gets to the break point on a pretty easy line, and then it comes off of it. The one I had a short pin, so I just put it in my middle finger. Pretty weak layout in my scheme of things, and But I had a little 7-game run there where I had a 298, a 300, a 300, two 270 games, and a 250 game. I'm not that good anymore. Especially, and I've never been that good on a house shot. So
And like I told you, and Chris gave me the bar humbug when I called him, and I was like, Zen 25's banger. It's gonna be fantastic. Best ever. Chris is like, yeah, all right, yeah, you're great. I'm shit. Da 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 da. And I'm just like, Chris, I don't know what to tell you. I told you the Road Warrior was gonna be great.
Yep.
And this one, like, as soon as I saw it make the move that it made, it got to that point that I wanted it to. Fantastic. I think the Zen 25 is going to be so popular. For like I say, even Chris is striking with it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think it's probably relative to the environment. It's probably a little cleaner.
Yeah,
but a little more directional down lane.
And we'll
and
roll
it separates from the rest of the balls we have by a bunch.
We'll roll this one into this one a little bit. It says, Happy New Year, gents. How do you see the Zen 25 compared to the Sublime?
Oh, nice.
Well, thanks, David. Happy New Year to you too. I think from what we've seen, and bearing in mind, on my point of view, it is a little limited. And on Chris's point of view, all he's done is throw 300 with it. He's got like about 108 baggers with this ball. I think that you're going to see a lot more motion, especially down lane out of the Zen 25 than you did the Sublime. It doesn't look like it needs as much friction. For me, the Sublime needed friction down the lane.
Yeah.
Once the pattern stretched, it wasn't very useful. The Sublime, I felt like it kind of picked up. It picked up kind of early, but it didn't really want to continue as much. The Sublime for me was very smooth.
When it was good, it was unbelievably good, and it was a ball that was probably a candidate for Power Edge.
Possibly,
but in general, it felt earlier and a little stronger, and yeah, like you said, more rounded than this ball.
And I also think that I need to sort of draw a line for me. I feel like we should draw a line from like maybe June this year going forward and the balls before that, because there was still things that were messing around with the surfaces and everything else. And I feel like everything's kind of come full circle now, especially with the new polish, with the way the covers are. I feel like, for me anyway, I feel like the balls are so much better. Like, I don't particularly like the phase AI, but I'm seeing other people do okay with it. But that one aside, all of the balls that have come out recently, I've really liked. And some of the balls before, I kind of liked. You know what I mean? There's probably not many of the balls from like end of 2023 through early on 2024, especially symmetrical balls, that I'm like, oh my God, I've got to keep a couple of those to one side. Like DNA Coil, Absolute Power. Obviously, those two for me, sweet. Like, got my stack of those, whatever. But some of these other balls, like the Sublime, they were okay. Like TNT Infused, it was okay. I just think that these balls at the minute, and I know everybody's going to give me the, oh, it's new balls, blah, 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 you know, shill, whatever, blah, 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 blah. I mean, I think I'm going to kick your ass with them. Like, like the Road Warrior for me, I've seen so, like, I really like it, but Ryan loves it and Tina loves it. We couldn't be three people who are more apart.
Right.
I mean, Tina's rev rate's like 250 and she throws it 12. Mine's 420 and I throw it kind of hard. And Ryan's is like 550 and he throws it really hard. And we all like it.
Yeah.
And I like, to me, that's always like, Jim Callahan said something in a meeting once, and it's so true. It's like whenever a ball comes out that's meh, it's like, meh, it's okay. Everybody talks about how you should lay it out or how you should do this and how you should do that and how you need to worry about this. And he goes, when the virtual gravity came out, you could drill them upside down and they still roll great. And that's what I'm saying. Like, to me, the Road Warrior rolls really good for almost everybody. It's not like I'm going, hey, make sure you drill it like this. We're just like, just slap your favorite layout on and get on with it.
Yeah, when you're listening to reviews, the more qualifiers there are in the reviews, the smaller the window is.
I mean,
of course, I didn't have to review a TNT this year, so
yeah,
the qualifier was basically just pick a different one for that one. But
and this is the point for me. I think that, like, I mean, I drilled mine kind of weak because the Zen, for me, the core was very strong, and then they added AI, and I was a little nervous. Having seen what it did, I think I could go a little stronger. So I did like 5 3/4 on the first one because I was a bit nervous, especially having seen Phase AI and the numbers being kind of similar, and me being a little AI skeptical. Especially in symmetrical balls. In asymmetrical balls, I was kind of like, I was kind of over it. Like, it was okay. Everything was fine. But Road Warrior's been good for me, obviously. And now this Zen 25. And I think it was just kind of about dialing the covers in and more than anything else.
I drew a pretty tall 4.5 kind of thing.
In that Zen 25.
Yeah. Yeah. To go along with that lower 5 and just see, let it flare, kind of max out. 4.5 is about as strong as I ever get. They tend to get forward for me.
Is there an ASIM you would use in the Zen 25 spot? I mean, for me, when I'm using a symmetrical ball, it's because I'm looking for that really like rounded shape. Like, the asymmetrical ball is always going to stand up harder. I mean, like, off the top of my head, no, not really.
Origin's stronger than that. I mean smoother.
I feel like the Vibo is cleaner than that Zen 25 for me. Maybe not for Chris, but like for me, that's how I would see that. And then to me, the next ball up from that is like maybe a DNA coil or something. It's not like we've got like 1,000 shiny pearl asymmetrical balls that really stack because the cores are so strong.
The next video that I put together yesterday is literally kind of what I have and how I'm stacking up from earliest to longest through the current line, kind of an 8-ball arsenal. Obviously, there's some small pieces, and I talk about those as well. But we'll where you can actually see where I have them, and he followed it up with Ion Pro. He didn't mean the Pro Max, not the Max.
Okay, yeah. I was gonna say,
everything.
Yeah,
everything except the Road Warrior. And my Vibo, I think I have a little bit below that, and if I stretch a little bit further, maybe an X2. But Ion Pro, and those two are that would be, I suppose, the ball that's in the same spot. But I feel like the Ion Pro is a little bit earlier. And also with less flare, it's a ball that I can't use as much on the tour because I get forced left and then don't have enough flare to get it back around the corner with the big boys.
Is that the Ion Pro? Sorry, I got distracted.
Yeah, the Pro.
Yeah. For me, Ion Pro is a ball that's kind of like, I think US Open, it might be pretty good, where there's a bit more friction in the surface.
Yeah. Lower flare balls in India have always been pretty useful.
So yeah, I think that is, to me, Ion Pro is a fresh type of ball, like early in blocks, even though it's not that strong. It's not really a late in blocks ball for me. So I kind of drill them fairly strong, and I kind of like it because it's so different. And I think that the thing that distinguishes the Ion Pro for me is when everything else doesn't work, that's so different that often it does work. Mm-hmm. I think the hardest part for me is actually building balls off that Ion Pro.
Yeah.
Because it's so much different from everything else. But that's where it's super useful for me.
I actually once I put Power Edge on an Ion Pro, now it fits down towards, it's like a ball off the Road Warrior, where you have a lower RG, smaller core versus higher RG and a little more flare. But you can manipulate those shapes when the lanes are hooking. And then with Power Edge, it still saw the lane and did, saw the shape that I wanted. Yeah, read it.
100%.
Yep. Feel like we have a few of those right now, which is that's nice. Yeah, I feel like that Ion Pro, that's where it fits for me. It lets me use it down in the bottom end of the bag on some of those hook and stuff patterns. Well,
come back, yeah. Well, he's coming back.
yeah. Maybe for the farewell tour, but we're coming back. So
you're gonna do the Alway. Do the Alway. Oh dear, somebody's trying to call me.
But thank you for thinking so.
Yeah. I don't 100% know what to tell you. It's not my favorite.
Yeah, I've gotten now to where the latest round of balls, I don't particularly care one way or the other anymore. But it did seem to matter there for a little bit, so maybe it wasn't the core that was causing it.
And this is the fun. Like, and I know that it's been popular. Hasn't necessarily been popular by me. And I promise. I mean, I'm not going to promise that it's not because of me, because I'd like to be arrogant enough to believe that everybody just uses the balls that I tell them to. But yeah. Somebody likes Chris's jersey. Well, if you do, I believe that's part of the Coolwick collection. Yep. So head over to coolwick.com and you can use Barnzy 10 for a 10% discount on that.
I got a bunch of new jerseys, and actually the latest round of videos all have a different one in them.
But I was about to say, I don't know if the box is here. Just 1 second.
I was tired of the same 4 that I'd been wearing for a while, and I finally got around to ordering. And it turns out the Elite Collection, nice. That's a big box.
That was on my porch. So, thanks again, Coolwick. I got some Beef and Barnzy t-shirts in. I've been on a beef stew kick for a little while, so I've changed it up, and we're going for the Beef and Barnzy thing. I got my boy Frankie's hoodie. I tried out another pair of Coolwick pants. It seems like if you're fat, order 2 inches bigger than you think you need.
That's basically where I landed.
They're a little snug.
Whatever your golf pant size is, not jeans, but your golf pant size is, just add 2.
I think the other thing, and I'm going to chat to Clip about it a little bit, is the golf industry has been going very, very, very much in the way of elasticated waists.
Mm-hmm.
So even if they are a little tight, you kind of get away with it on the golf pants. These are like suit pants. There ain't a lot of give in the waistband. So if you like that feel, like, I'm sure if they were tailored enough for Frankie down the leg, I'm sure he'd like them, because he kind of likes, I mean, he's skinny.
Mm-hmm.
I'm fat. Shocker, we don't like the same thing. Yeah. So I kind of like it. I got the little Coolwick logo on the back. The last time I did it, I got Beef and Barnzy on the back, and then they didn't fit. So that kind of didn't want to. Cliff says 100% agreed, and we're working on it. Most people do not want fitted dress pants. We know that now.
My guy.
Yeah. Well, not flat, just fluffy.
We will have, I'll put up a collection here before long. I got some hoodies. I got the new, by the way, there's new 900 Global gear. And we had it set before, and it was okay. And Big G called me up. I put in this order, and he goes, "Hey, do you want me to add in the new stuff?" And I hadn't seen there was new stuff, and I looked at it and went, "Oh hell, yeah!" And I ordered about 5 of them. I went from having about one, okay, that one's okay, to yeah, I did all of that, all of that. So if you want to see it next week at Tour Team USA trials, I'll probably have a bunch of it on.
Are you bowling?
No, I'm watching Ryan Bolt Team USA trials.
Oh, okay.
So I'll have just usual logo. They're nice. They're like I say, I like them. They're clean. You can wear you can wear them out. Yeah, this is a throwback one. I'm old enough that I was around the first time this jersey was. Well, it wasn't a jersey then; it was a polo, I think. Was around. So,
yep, we're definitely going to be there.
Probably twice, if I'm guessing. For me, they've been holding the PBA 50 World Series the last couple of years. The level looks like a control ball without much potential for overreaction. I've seen, but a review I've seen also has less revs than I do.
Check
Good
out
for you.
Billy Big Bollocks here. Yeah, I think that most people are seeing it that way. Like I say, for me anyway, I definitely, it's looked a bit better when there was a little more friction, but I've got like a 38-foot pattern out that I'm going to go and have a practice on now. So we will see.
I like this question earlier. Just stretching back to Casey's. This is a good comparison, actually. The 25 between the OG Zen and label, and had I thrown it before I did the video, I probably would have added a gold label into it because it fits in between these two for me. I think it's cleaner than the original Zen with a little more back end, and I think it's a little stronger overall than the gold label was. Gold label was probably as skid flippy as you could make that core in that, at least in that era, and this is a little step from that, and so which is good for me. I like the gold label a lot. It was a little too quick in some times. So far, I'm seeing this as being more. It's been really good so far, and so knock on wood. I hope that goes forward. But
I was about to say, right now I'm seeing the Zen 25 as a 10 bagger every time I pick it up. You're like me with the DNA coil. It's like, I want this to be the answer because if it is, I'm probably going to average 245. You're right about 265. So, this question got asked a little bit ago. Yes. Predictions for 2025 Rookie of the Year and Player of the Year.
Well, I have my preference in this house for the first one.
I was about to say, if they're going to promise to put 38 mils of oil on the line, I think I'll go with the out of left field selection of Dom Barrett for Player of the Year. If they're going to put that much oil on the line every week, Dom's going to do okay. I mean, Player of the Year. How are you going to pick anybody except like one of those four people?
I mean, EJ,
Simo, Belmo, or Troop. How are you going to pick one of those four? Not pick one of those four.
Now, if you think the level's the real deal, Jesper could be in play in a hurry.
Yeah, yeah. I find it hard for a lefty to be Player of the Year. When was the last lefty Player of the Year? PA.
Probably. Week in, week out. I mean, it's the other thing though too. You have a short season. It's
yeah. No, I get it. I mean, if the World Series goes the way it went like last year, it could be pretty easy for a lefty to be Player of the Year because we don't have that many tournaments on top of it. But, and we're going to places for the other majors that aren't exactly, the US Open that isn't been great since we've gone to Indy for the lefties. It's not been great, like being honest. But TOC, I feel like lefties are always somewhat in play there. Like maybe not as much as they were, but like Eric Jones put on a did he just miss the show or just make the show? I forget now. I think he just missed the show.
Mac Jones made one of the shows, but I don't know which one he made.
And then we're gonna go to Thunder Bowl, which was pretty good for the lefties at the Masters, if I recall. The previous time we went, and then the World Series obviously was really good for the left side. Reno hasn't really ever not been good for the left-handers.
It wasn't great at the RPI.
Okay,
but so they, it's.
Well, I'll probably correct that mistake then.
It may not be the best thing that could have happened for the World Series.
Here's an interesting question, because I think it's something that's going to kind of get asked a little bit. Joshua says, replacing an Alpha Crux between a Gem and a Black Widow hybrid, having a hard time deciding between Physics, Blackout, S2, and Dull Origin. I wouldn't dull the Origin. I think what makes the Origin special is that it's a shiny, strong ball. And I think it just makes it just another ball when you dull it. It's just like, it's quite remarkable how much that ball hooks while being shiny. So I don't think it really makes that much sense to have that one dull. For me, anyway, I think S2 makes the most sense to replace an Alpha Crux. I think the Physics Blackout might be a little bit too close to the Gem in that 3-ball makeup. The S2 is going to be a decent step down from the Gem, but with it being dull, it's probably going to be a decent complement to that Black Widow 2.0 hybrid. That's the red and black one, Chris, because I know you don't keep track of those balls as much.
I don't know the Black Widow one, yeah.
But you know the one that everybody used for a while. Yeah.
Yeah. No, the Blackout is actually pretty quick for a big ball. I actually drilled a down one yesterday. I also put that in the video when we get that put together. But we're trying a new video, guys, so we'll see what happens there.
Yeah.
If you don't like it, be sure to let him know.
Yeah, but don't let him know too loud. Might get expensive.
No, if you like it, let us know. If you don't like it, let him
know. Hey, Asuna says, thanks for the super chat anyway. And he says, what your guys' best tip to stay behind the ball and under the equator? This is quite a common question. I can only seem to do drills, and never in full motion. That is 100% the problem with drills. We are I've always been totally anti-drill. And then I found my brother in arms in Baker, who is, he's a bit like Les Snead with fuck them picks. He's fuck them drills. Not interested at all in drills is our mark. I think that we always talk about getting forward as you go down the approach, you're like leaning forward, and that's what makes it harder to stay either behind the ball or under the ball. It's getting the timing right, but while also kind of keeping your hips back and your chest plate pushing the air down the lane is the key to staying like behind the ball, because once you go forward, your elbow flares out, like Chris talks about a lot.
Yeah.
And then your hand gets on the side of the ball. If your elbow's in front, you can't try putting your wrist behind the ball. It feels like you're going to break your wrist, like literally break it. So
the simple way to do it is try and keep. You watched Bill O'Neill, and there was a while where he really looked like he was tilting his chin up.
Yeah.
To try and keep, and that's largely what it is keeping his upper body from going forward too far. Because once it got forward, everything tends to roll inside. It's really difficult to do it, even for the best players. So think about keeping this right shoulder back, keeping your chin up a little bit. And then let us know how that works. Timmy, have you ever been wrong? I think you're 100%.
I was about to say, I think it's about 3 weeks, and I think it's probably about game 4.
And in that case, I'd be actually pissed at me for agreeing with you. That's all. I get to pick. It's my fault when I mess it up.
I get more angry at the suggestion than I do after it doesn't work.
Well, yeah, I have a little bit of a disagreeable nature when it's not going the right way. Like, why do you think that would work? And the answer should be back to you. Why do you think you have any right to argue with me? Look at your score.
Yeah, you've been wrong 7 times and you text me.
Maybe you should listen to me now. Yeah,
I did actually once say that to Dom. We were going back and forth, and Dom said something, and I said, "Well, you've been wrong 5 times. Can I not be wrong once?" And Dom said, "You're wrong plenty. That's why you sat behind me." Was kind of the way the conversation went. Oh shit. Hey Daniel, thanks for the super chat. He says, how does the level compare to other low diff balls like the Hustle and the IQs? For me, it's a lot earlier than both of those balls.
Somebody brought up earlier the Tour Dynamics. It's probably closer-ish to that.
Okay. Shh.
I guess. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I would. The Hustle and IQs are so much quicker. I just don't.
Yeah, that's principally the level is a much more smooth shape.
Yeah.
What is your recommendations for a 43 put pattern with 6 mils of oil? Watch the college football games.
Yeah.
That's my recommendation. It's that or it's your plastic ball. There is no other option as far as I see it on 6 mils of oil.
6 mils of oil is literally, if you have an old rubber ball, I'd go find that instead.
Yeah. And you're talking to the king of not bowling on very much oil. I won a Qatar Open on 16 mils. Made it look like they were fine.
I bowled that one. Yeah. It is literally how my 6-ball arsenal came to be in existence. Just up in Chino, boy. That's right.
Where's it at?
They miss it. Impactful rookie.
Oh, you didn't ask a question, though.
I think there's some really interesting rookies, actually. Cam Crow is a very dynamic personality that could be a lot of fun if he can make some match plays, especially these ones where they're, the best of 7s. I think there's some under the radar guys that you haven't heard a lot of. I think the Stippich can bowl. Got a pretty nice college resume, which doesn't always translate. I understand, but the guys that bowled in that arena are like, yeah, he's legit. The Andrew Hall is the sleeper in that bunch. That he's been around a minute and he's gotten a little more seasoned, and he kind of put it together at trials. See him at Team USA trials a lot too, and he just keeps getting better every year. So, and then Lucky Charms.
He isn't a rookie, so we can't use it.
Not really. That's true. The Sloan Ranger can't. Okay.
Chris, I saw the tip, but I didn't see any questions, so I'm assuming it's this. He said, just starting a new job where we're here to listen live. Well, that sucks. Just like to say thanks for all your help with all the questions. Well, you're welcome. Thanks for supporting the show. Make sure you leave some comments on the videos when you finally watch them back or whatever. We'll be looking out for you. But good luck with the new job. Hopefully it works out well. Yeah.
Yeah, we're both throwing 15s these days. I don't know. Hey, screw that guy. I hope he sprains his thumb. So,
I mean, it's better than what you could say. I mean, sprained thumb is.
The hole in the wall in lane 1 says I have been wrong. It means I agreed with you a few times, maybe, but probably I made the wrong one. So,
shit.
Shawnee.
Oh yeah, that's the other thing, Shawnee. There are still spots in the Snowman this weekend. If you want to bowl in a tournament that's not like any other tournament you're going to bowl this year, that's the one. Find your partner, find your spare ball, and get on up to Shawnee. Check out Snowman Doubles on Facebook to find out all the details. It is a very fun tournament. Very, very fun. And you can spend the time just laughing at yourself because there are some guys who just can't get it through their head that you can't give that head pin away. They are so used to just throwing it to the right. And
yeah,
it's just fun. Like, it's just different. Like, some of those guys who beat the shit out of everybody every week, they come to that tournament. It's just like, you just don't have that advantage anymore, do you?
Different type of bowling. So,
and
I bowled with Doherty there a few years back, and we basically got to where the 5, 8, 10. You know, don't worry about it. It's just going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, you know how different the atmosphere is to be when you go 5, 8, 10. You go, it was going to happen at some point.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like I say, it's just a
when I say dynamic personality, no, more just he likes the action. That's all.
He has a very loud outside voice inside when he's bowling well,
and he's played a sport before, and so he likes the talk.
He is a little bit like a lot of the people on that side of the lane, though. Real fucking quiet when they're not kind of easy on that side of the lane.
How much can you talk? Like when you talk on a basketball court, you know, when you're 0 for 8.
Yeah. Not the way I meant it, though.
Red River doubles. Yeah, I understand. No, not right now.
I mean, this is basically the replacement, right?
No real world on the PBA 50 schedule. I know that people are getting antsy for whatever reason, but I mean, we are still 4 months out. I guess we're sneaking up on 3 months out, and I believe it's coming together. But you know, hoping to get a little bit more money, a few more stops, kind of put it together, put a real thing together. The Peterson, do it around the LBC.
Yeah, I mean, I bowled
out of it.
I bowled it a couple of years ago, did pretty well. It was fun. It wasn't as difficult as I was kind of expecting it to be. I guess that's my Johnny Big Bollocks moment of the day. Well, it wasn't as difficult as I thought it'd be. Yeah. I think I shot like, I don't know, 1560 or something. Like,
that's a lot.
Yeah. I mean, I had some bad Indian food the night before, so there was frequent stops to the toilet. It wasn't great. I think if I'd have realized, if I hadn't have played it as it was the Peterson and I'd have just got up and bowled for the first 3 games, I think I'd have probably broken 1600. They weren't that difficult last time when we were in Wisconsin. I got to tease Tom and Neil Stremmel about it because the machines were actually running pretty decent at the Peterson. And then we came into the main bay to bowl the LBC. And the very first frame before EJ got to throw a shot in his lane, the lane exploded and threw like 2 racks of pins right down the lane. I said, fuck me, Neil, we should have the Peterson out here. He responded in kind, shall we say. He suggested that I go forth and multiply and close my mouth and go to a different lane.
Yeah, right.
He goes, oh, we didn't have many issues till you guys turned up. I was like, yeah. I said to him, I said, well, if a tree falls in the forest and nobody hears it fall, did it really fall? Was kind of funny. Oh shit. Any stops on strings? No.
There will be some regionals this year. They've been approved for regional titles, I guess, this year, I believe.
On that,
the All-Star weekend will be on strings.
I was about to say, if we're going to give regional titles this year, don't you think they should just go back and give the regional titles for the other tournaments that were PBA regionals?
That's what I brought up when it happened, but
I personally felt like it was a regional title and they should have just, like, we're counting non-champs. So if it's not a non-champs and champs are bowling, you're bowling on string pins, who fucking cares? I appreciate that we could get to the point where we were bowling on bowlingo, with the little balls that are the size of the hands and call that. I get it, but same time, I just, never really been a fan of not doing that. No, Road Warrior wouldn't. Road Warrior would be the opposite of what you'd want for a urethane ball. Think control. So if you don't like a urethane ball, then you're going to need to find something that's smoother. So, like for me, like an Ion Pro might be an okay response. For I'm just talking about something you could use, kind of going a little straighter on the fresh. That's all.
Something that doesn't flare a lot, maybe.
Yeah. A Hustle, the Hustle X-Ray would be another one that would probably be okay.
That's the dollar blue and black one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you don't really get to replicate urethane with reactive, just in general.
Just say you're tired of us without saying you're tired of us.
Yeah. There's a guy who's bowled a million regionals and won his fair share of them. And like, to me, when it's Walter Ray against Ryan Schaefer in the final, I'm pretty sure the field was pretty decent and that the best people came out on top. Like
it didn't compromise the competition too badly at that point.
If 12-year-old Johnny, who'd never bowled a 215 in his life on a sports shot, suddenly won the tournament, then maybe I'd worry about it. But that's not what happened, was it?
But you're describing every handicap tournament in existence right now.
Oh, did you see my man? Did you see my man that got called out? Ooh, he bowled 1060 with a 173 average.
Oh yeah, I did see that.
He had like 1250 for 4.
Yeah. Yeah, it is the hardest thing to do. So is manage the cheaters if guys aren't going to talk to each other, or you don't have a way to converse back and forth about guys. Because if you're good at it, the way we generally go about it with averages, there's no scratch leagues anymore, so they just cheat in league.
Somebody, I always laugh with you about I picked up the taking advantage of your unfair advantages.
Yeah.
Somebody summed bowling up perfectly, and they weren't even talking about bowling, but I heard this, and it's perfect for handicaps. It's impossible to make reasonable rules for unreasonable people.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's no world in which you could want, like, I just don't understand how anybody, like, there isn't that much money in handicap tournaments outside of a couple. Why would you want to average 50 pins a game less every time you go to bowl, just so in one tournament everybody can call you a cheat and you make a couple of bucks? Like, it doesn't make any sense. So like, how do you,
that's a perfect way to put it. The rules are made for people who think somewhat ethically.
Yeah.
If you don't care,
it's just.
And unfortunately, as a tournament director, you almost have to be equally that way. Okay, you're 178. I think you're 212. Guess what? You've been re-rated to 215. Well, I'm not going to bowl. Bye.
Yeah.
Like, you lose one bowler, but you gain 5. Or you save the 5 to 10 that we're going to leave because that guy basically made the tournament unwinnable.
Yeah, it's like I say, it's what's his name? Charlie had it right. He had it helps that he didn't have exactly a million really good bowlers when he moved down there. Like, when he opened his thing up. But he said, part of the reason why he went into bowling was because he was pissed off about everybody being pissed off all the time when they bowl.
Yeah.
Like,
It
pretty
took away
much.
the two things that caused it.
Yeah. Averages, handicap, and prize funds. So he just eliminated both.
Yeah. They show up, they bowl for league fees, and they just drink and
He makes more money because the extra money they don't put in the prize fund, they put behind the bar. Yeah. He doesn't have to worry about the same team winning every year because any team that stacks just gets humiliated by all the other teams because why the fuck would you want to win this league? You don't get anything for it anyway. It's just a bit of fun. It's a social night. And it was.
Yeah, we did have a team a couple weeks ago. I don't even know if I told you this, but we were bowling league and the team were the averages are off at 230. They shot 39.44 at us. With no one averaging over 185.
Good night.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I feel like I understand that the USBC say that, like, for this is the most left-wing thing ever that everybody wants to talk about everybody getting a trophy. The USBC said for the handicaps to be totally equalized, so there's just as much chance of a lower average bowler winning as a higher average bowler. Handicap should be 116% of the difference. That would be how it would come out that, over a season it would even out.
And again, for people who tried all the time, that's probably correct.
But the problem that I have is why, in what world would ever it be that somebody averages 100 who's bowling for their first time? Why should they have just as much chance of winning as the guy who bowls every week for his whole life? That's the part. I mean, like, that's what that's why you join a sport to get better. Like, if you just join the sport and you win the first time you bowl, I mean, like, I don't know. Whatever. It's like, to me, I always never care because we just go out to bowl league and I bowl a couple of times a week and I like it. I don't bowl to make money in it. I don't you don't want to lose every week, but I don't really care that much.
Alan, who I bowl with, and he's a frequent contributor, but he also runs tournaments. And so, he puts it together pretty succinctly. There's ones that bowl at tough houses and take advantage of low averages over and over, and ones that bowl 30 games in league a year at a low average, and then will consistently, win or make money at handicap tournaments. Bottom line, no handicap bowler should ever win handicaps. Basically, the other flag is if you're in 60 brackets and only in the handicap side, you're a cheater. I mean,
or you're one of the smartest scratch bowlers.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, like I said, if you're scratch, you're scratch. But
no,
there's a window, like you bowl for a year, you bowl for 2 years, and and then you figure it out. And you have that big jump, and you get about 6 months of where you get to take advantage of the fact that you spent time, really improved, and started bowling some tournaments, and you get to win. And then your average adjusts with it, and then you go back to
It's another thing that two-handed bowling's ruined. Just is. It's made book averages awful because everybody gets so much better when they bowl. Not everybody, but the large majority of people get better so much faster bowling two-handed than they ever did one-handed.
Yeah.
That it's quite easy for a guy. It's quite normal, not necessarily easy, but for a guy to average 160 one year and average 215 the next year. Yeah. That just doesn't happen as a one-hander. You don't go from 160 to 215. Ever. But two-handers do it all the time. So if you use the book average from the year before, the guy's super easy. And they haven't done anything wrong. It's just the rule isn't fit for purpose when guys are getting better at 20 pins a quarter. They're improving by 15 pins a quarter. I mean, what are you supposed to do with that?
Finally, someone who will name the guy, Chris, who runs tournaments up there And Vio is one of the great all-time amateur players, and now he's also a tournament promoter. He bowled the megabucks with his 176 average and led the 215 and under division on the last squad, which had him in the title match of his division before the Final Four shootout with 45K on the top four. Someone alerted us he had a re-rate, which we applied, and was still only 193. He lost in one of the eliminator rounds before the shootout. We had a couple that came out this year, were super questionable, which sucks, of course. Yeah, I mean, and they get you once, shame on them. At that point, and we even have them in the youth tournament. We have a couple to go. Wow, kid won from there, and then the next year, someone else from that same center comes in and leads the next year. Okay, well now we have to put a flag on that center. At the Southwest tournament up at North Rock in Wichita, there's a group of guys that come from Ada, Oklahoma every year, and they cheat. The center might be really hard, might be whatever, but consistently they're in the top 5.
Yeah.
Just impossible to do. And it's unfortunate, but you have to make a note in your tournament notes for that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to keep track of everybody. Yeah, I mean, it's just it's so hard to catch them all. And the golf thing, that's just ridiculous because the guys just cheat. They just keep putting in those scrambles. They just keep putting or hitting shots, and nobody else is in your group, so just keep cheating.
Yeah,
24 under in a scramble. It's absurd.
So, all right. Well, I've got to get going, and you've got to get going. So
I do.
I want to wish everybody a Merry New Year.
More videos coming out. Barnzy Bowling will probably have a video out today. We'll have a video out next week. Stu's got his stuff he's putting together now on the level NZen25. Go to beefandbarnzy.com, like and subscribe there on our way to 30K.
Yeah.
Maybe have a resolution.
It's been a good
ball giveaway coming up soon.
Yeah, we got to wait a little bit into the new year. Probably just before we go away on tour, we'll do another one. Credits are a little bit of a pain close to and just after. So getting the orders out isn't as easy as it might be. But more of the same in 2025. Hopefully we'll continue to grow our community. Thank you for everybody who's partaken in it.
Happy New Year to everyone.
Yeah. Hopeful to see a lot of Beef and Barnzy merch out on the PBA tour in the crowds this year.
That would be awesome.
So, with that, Chris, send us off for one last time this year.
Well, for the final time of 2024, if you can, and before you see us next Tuesday, have the opportunity, please, to support the sponsors support us. Store, Road Grip, Niner Global, Coolwick, Bowlers Mart, Firelight Bowling Center, Lightning Strikes, and Platinum Ford. Until next time, stay safe, stay healthy on that New Year's Eve. Amateur drunk driving night. God bless.
See you later. Bye now.